Right, this is a road test video for a Honda Civic. Quite a rare model. This is a 1.4 VTEC Ti. Car's registered SM11DZR. Mileage at the start of this brief road test is 41,198 miles. The reason we do the videos is basically we're selling now to customers from all over the place, you know, the whole of the UK, all over Europe as well. And we feel it's right that people with the power of the internet get to see the cars online and videos of the exact cars they're coming to look at. Worth pointing out also that the road tests are done on exactly the same roads as any prospective buyer would test the vehicles on, so should be completely representative of what anyone should feel when they come to drive the cars. What I try and do effectively is to do much the same as you do yourself, and that is just get a feel for the car and I'll report back as I find, and that's warts and all. So if there's any issues, I won't shy away from telling you about them. Starting with the engine, this is a 1.4 VTEC engine. The engine in question, this particular car, starts absolutely on the button, very smooth idling, pulls really nicely. It sounds very nice when it's revving as well, actually. No strange noises, no warning lights on the dashboard relating to the engine or anything else actually for that matter. Just up the steering column slightly, get myself comfortable. But the idle there is absolutely rock solid. Come back to the engine later in the road test as well actually, but just to say it's absolutely spot on. Engine then runs through to clutch and gearbox. Clutch is light, smooth, quiet in operation, biting at exactly the right point, so you know, no issues there at all. Then goes through to this 6-speed gearbox. Another wonderful gearbox from Honda. Short in the throw, really nicely judged synchromesh, very precise, and an absolute lesson to all those who try and do cable operated gearboxes and make them as vague as anything. I mean, this is a really nice box to use. It has kind of a mechanical feel to it, albeit, as I said, it is actually running cables direct into the box. But what's really nice about it, it's just so easy to use. It's, you use your hand, press it to the left for to guide it, and it just always finds its way home. It's just got that lovely quality of gear shift, and I cannot detect in the lever or in the mechanism even the merest hint of wear in it. It's absolutely spot on. So the powertrain, utterly faultless. Cannot fault it in any way. Let's get myself in a straight head position. Basically, car tracks absolutely bullet straight. There's no vibrations coming back to the steering wheel at all. Again, not an ounce of wear that I can feel through the steering wheel of the car. There's no tremors, no shakes, no rattles, nothing. Likewise with the suspension, it's going about its business very smoothly indeed. I love it's got a ride handling compromise they've come up with on this car. It's very dynamic. It's a lot of fun. But again, the purpose of the test drive is to see if there's any issues there. Things I'm looking out for, much the same as anyone else should or would be just noises coming up, which secondary noises, a bit like sort of clanks or bangs, where you might get a bit of like droplings on the suspension or the struts can be a little bit have a little bit of wear in them. It's going to sit past this fan a second. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It rides really nicely, very precise. It's lost none of its manufactured precision, and as I said, I can't feel any untoward noises underneath. Clearly, when you go over a bump, you hear the bump, but there's nothing else on there at all. It's going to give the brakes a bit of a sharp jab in a second. Wow. Yeah, it's a really strong brake pedal. Nose dives down nice and square rather. No vibrations, no pulsing through the brake pedal at all. So everything in very good order underneath there as well. As I drive along, I'm also listening out for noises that really shouldn't be there. And what I'm talking about there is kind of wind noises that might intrude into the car. And I genuinely can't hear anything. It's the wind noise is there, but it suggests that all the window seals, windscreen seals are all in very good order indeed. Nothing's been damaged, skagged or otherwise. So that's all good. What I'm going to do is I've always got this little lane because it's a horrible road surface, and if anything's going to shake a car to death, this one will. I'm just going to shut up a second just so you can hear the engine rev out. Really sweet unit. I mean, for, you know, I was going to say I'll come on to it later in the video, might as well talk about it now. I mean, there'd be those who think that 1.4 isn't man enough to haul a car along, but it most certainly is. You know, motorway speeds are easily maintained with the car, but it has kind of a get up and go as well, which is really nice. But that's all well and good. But if you've got a soundtrack which is whiny and miserable, then it's not a lot of fun. But Hondas do make a lovely noise when they rev out. They really do. And this one's no different to any of those. All just comes together so nicely, it really does. Looking around inside the car, obviously this is one of the later or last of this type of Civics, and benefited from a lot of the upgrades the 2010 model benefited from. With TI spec, you get this lovely big Pioneer Nav System there, which is really dead simple to use and integrates nicely with the rest of the dashboard. The rest of the dashboard, if you see my other videos, you'll know I kind of eulogise about it. I think it's a work of art, I really do. Something in many years to come will be looked back on with a huge degree of fondness and admiration, because it's not a gimmick. It looks fantastic, especially at night. When it's lit up, it is just gorgeous. But it's for a purpose, ergonomically and otherwise, safety-wise certainly. Just up on the top left there, we've got an information display panel for the ventilation system in the radio and other audio devices. Incidentally, air conditioning is pumping out ice cold air, so it's a really muggy 22 degrees today, but it's close. The air conditioning is really cold. All pixelation's perfect on there. Then comes the best part for me, which I love this bit. Two-tier dashboard. We've got the high-up display on the top level for MPH, plus also rev, limiter light and economy light. But what's brilliant about this, having that so high up, is the fact that the MPH is what 90% of the information you'll ever take in on the car is all about. Being up that high means I can look ahead to like warning signs or speed limits or other cars or pedestrians clearly, but I can also keep an eye to my peripheral vision on the speed I'm doing without having to nod my head down, take my eyes off the road for a few seconds to take in the speed of the car. Now, those fractions can cost, as we all know, so it's so clever. Coming down then, you come to a more conventional biblical little pod in front of me there, and in there we've got a big dominating rev counter, and in the middle of that is an information display for things like sort of distance travelled, MPG, sorry, and if I scroll through using this information button there, I can do sort of various things on it. All the gauges, all the displays are spot on, crystal clear, and all very, very good order indeed. The temperature gauge, incidentally, is a third of the way up the gauge. Now it's up to maximum operating temperature. A third of the way up is exactly where you want to see any Honda car, petrol, diesel, regardless of engine size. Actually, they all operate at that temperature range. So anything higher than that or lower, you want to just question as to why. Certainly higher. But the whole dashboard's in very nice condition, beautifully made. There's not a squeak or a rattle from the car. On these later versions, just this part of it around the ventilation switches, it's got this kind of sort of pseudo kind of carbon fibre look, if you like. But it's much tougher and much more scratch resistant than the earlier shiny stuff they used to have up there. Likewise, all this painted plastic trim around the switches again is far more resistant to accidental scratching than the earlier versions, where the paint would could be scratched quite easily. Actually, they were never badly made. They were just particularly prone to scratching. But the car drives absolutely superbly. Instead, if there was an issue, I would tell you. Two last things to check. One is the wipers, which is a pet hate of mine. I hate smeary wipers. They're good. And the only thing I've noticed on the car is the wing mirror lens on that side has been cracked by someone who looks like they've just nudged past the car, so the actual lens is broken, so that will be fixed and replaced prior to the car being sold, quite clearly. Basically that concludes the video. Obviously hope it's been of help and use to you. If there's anything I've missed out on the video, please don't hesitate to call. You know, I don't profess to be Jeremy Clarkson or anyone like that. I'm not professional at doing this. But said if I've missed anything out, it's not by design. Just please do call and ask us.